You got the touch.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Everything is Bad new Fangled motion picture show.
Well, folks, they went and did it. They rebooted Transformers.
Yep. This is a reboot. I don't care what anyone says because this movie contradicts
A lot.
so much from the other movies. It can't be a prequel.
Yeah, it just can't be.
It can't be. It has to be a reboot because it just contradicts, especially the first movie, so much.
Yeah. So, yeah, we finally hit a point where the beloved Michael Bay Transformers series has been rebooted. Still produced by Michael Bay.
Yeah. They even referenced his name in there, with a street called Bay Street or something.
Well, I mean, it was San Francisco.
Yeah. Well, though.
They're kind of known for their bay.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm Niall.
And I'm Nolan.
And we're reviewing Bumblebee, the latest Transformers movie.
It was pretty good, though.
It's definitely the best Transformers movie.
I don't know if I like it better than the first one, because people forget that first one is actually pretty good. They just kind of lump it in with all the sequels, which were all horrible.
No, I think this is...
And it kind of gets drawn down by all those horrible sequels.
I still think it's a better movie.
Well, the main character is definitely more likable than Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah.
But, there's a lot to like in the original, and people kind of forget about it. Because the sequels are so horrible, I think. But yeah, this one is up there. Close to it anyway, if not better. It's a lot more coherent as a story than the sequels anyway were.
Wow, man, I was just looking at the IMDb page for Haley Steinfeld, who plays Charlie, the main character. And she's only 22 years old and has 37 credits.
She was a child actor.
Yeah, but still. I mean, she's Gwen Stacy in Into the Spider-Verse. But I mean, I'd forgotten that she was in Ender's Game.
I couldn't even...
Oh, I remember
Was she Ender's sister or what?
Petra Arcanian.
Oh, no.
No, I remember I saw an article. I mean, not it was an article.
Bender. Ender's quasi love interest.
Yeah, because Ender loves only one thing: genocide. Anyway, look, we all saw the movie.
You didn't get the message out of that movie right at all.
Anyway, I remember I was reading an article about her recently because it was just talking about how great she was in Bumblebee and these other things she's done, and it mentioned that she was in Ender's Game, and that was the first big movie she was in.
Mm-hmm.
And
she was in that True Grit remake.
Yeah, with Jeff Bridges.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Bridges.
Anyway, but yeah,
yeah,
this movie's actually pretty good. It's not the hot mess that all those Transformers sequels were.
It's also not 3 hours long like that last one.
No, it's just under 2 hours.
Holy crap, that was a long movie.
They don't throw so much at you. They keep the characters.
I keep bumping the mic here, so sorry if you keep getting.
They keep the number of characters down. As far as Transformers go, there's only a few of them in there. A few human characters. It's not just inundated with all these characters.
But no Mark Wahlberg.
No. I'll say the Mark Wahlberg.
He's a more likable character than Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah.
And Mark Wahlberg was not the reason those movies were bad.
No.
Yeah, I was just looking it up, by the way. The Last Night was 2 hours and 34 minutes long. That is longer than any Transformers movie has any right to be.
Yeah. So anyway, this movie is set in 1987, so there's a lot of like 80s nostalgia in it.
There's so much 80s music in this movie.
The soundtrack is just riddled with 80s music.
The song credits were multiple. The credits aren't a scrolling credits. It's just a bunch of stills of text
that like change,
which you don't see much anymore.
Yeah.
But it was multiple pages of song credits. It just went on and on.
I can see where this movie might be the best or the most profitable Transformers movie because it's had the lowest budget out of all of them.
Yep.
And I can see like a lot of people going to see this movie. And so if the number of people that go to see this movie or go to see like would normally go to see a Transformer and go to see this one as well, there's going to be a huge profit on this movie.
Yep.
So they're going to make more. I'm sure. They need to keep with this sort of formula. Keep these writers, this director. I think Michael Bay can still produce it all he wants, but
they'll call him in to advise on explosions.
Right. But this, I think this the smaller. It's a much smaller story, in a lot of ways it took what would a lot of the things that were good about the first Transformers movie and redid it,
And the fighting is just really well choreographed.
Yeah, like it's a lot easier to follow what's going on. One thing they do though is because all the Transformers they're characters that were Gen 1 Transformers from the toys.
Right.
And they keep those colors. They're bright, vibrant colors. And they don't reuse any of them. So you have like yellow Bumblebee's who's yellow, and then you have two Decepticons, one's blue, one's red. You can tell them apart. And all these Transformers people, everything's black. So Bumblebee is yellow, and then Optimus Prime is blue and red, and everyone else is like gray or black, and you can't tell anything apart. But this one, like just the colors alone, help make everything easier to follow.
Yeah.
They need to continue with that. It just, a lot of the direction on this and the writing were just so much better than what we've seen.
It was Shatter and Blitzwing.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
I think so. They only mention their names a little bit. Let's see.
I mean, but that's kind of the point, is you don't need their names. You just recognize on sight. That's a bad guy.
Right, and one thing that's neat, though, is if you're a Transformers fan, there's a lot of them that you could point out, like, oh, I know that character, I know that character, I know that character.
Yeah, I mean, so they had Shatter, Dropkick, Blitzwing, RC, Shockwave, and Soundwave, Wheeljack, Cliff Jumper, Ratchet. That's one, right?
It was so the two that came to Earth, they were Shatter and Dropkick.
And Dropkick, okay.
Yeah, those Angela Bassett and Justin Theroux, who were those characters.
Right.
So there's some names in there.
And like, because it starts off, this isn't a spoiler or anything, this is literally the first 5 minutes of the movie. It starts off showing the war on Cybertron.
Mm-hmm.
And Optimus Prime is a badass. I mean, we already know Optimus Prime is a badass, but holy crap, man.
Yeah.
He's doing some really cool badass shit.
And if you were, it was fun, kind of interesting, if you were at all like a fan of the cartoon from the 80s, there's a lot of stuff in these sequences and a lot of stuff in the movie in general that kind of like throw back to the cartoon, and like this, especially the stuff on Cybertron, it looks a lot like the opening, like the stuff from the cartoon when it shows the war on Cybertron. It looks like a lot like it, and so I think that's they're doing like a lot. I think they're trying to do a lot to appease fans and bring fans back into the movies, because so many people who were fans of Transformers before the movies don't like the movies, or at least a lot of them maybe accepted that first one, but the sequels just drove them away.
Oh, come on, Nolan! They had a robot balls joke in one of them.
Yeah, and racially insensitive Transformers.
Racially insensitive Transformers. But come on, giant robot balls. That's gold. That's comedy gold.
It should have been gold.
That Transformer getting ripped in half by a railgun was the best part of the third movie, by the way.
There's some really cool...
was that the third? That was the third movie, right? When he's crawling on the
No, that was
pyramid?
the second one.
Was that the second movie?
Yeah, that was the second one.
I don't know. I haven't...
still had Megan Fox in it.
Oh, yeah. Before she pissed off Michael Bay.
Yeah. Anyway, where was I?
Racially insensitive robots.
Yeah, I think I'd moved before that. Anyway, I think they're trying to like get people who are fans of the Transformers before the movies into liking the movies, and I think they went a long way towards that. I think a lot of people who are Transformers fans will like this movie.
Bumblebee's scrappy.
Yeah,
scrappy fighter.
There's some really cool fight sequences.
Really cool fight choreography in this.
Especially at the end.
Yeah.
There's one, we'll get to that in the spoiler, but there's like one scene like when it was really that made me go, "Whoa, that was awesome."
Yeah. And there's lots of like what's really cool too is like there's a lot like Bumblebee does a lot of grappling when he's fighting these bigger cuz Bumblebee's small. Like Bumblebee's always been smaller than most of the other Transformers, but
when you're
like,
a VW,
he's like especially small in this. I mean, he's
like 12 feet.
He's standing up in Charlie's garage. You know, so he's an especially small Transformer. These other two, one transforms into an F4, and the other one transforms into a Cobra gunship. You know, so like they're pretty big. You know, they're like at least 50% taller than Bumblebee, and so he does a lot of like grappling with them and stuff when he's fighting. It's pretty cool. Oh, wasn't Blitzwing was that one from the very beginning, right?
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I just remember now. Yeah. But yeah, so it's a really fun movie. The characters are all likable people. Like John Cena's awesome because John Cena's just awesome.
Yeah, and
I like John Cena.
And there's a lot of like 80s nostalgia going on in there between the music and like references. Like Bumblebee watches The Breakfast Club on repeat. Like throughout the movie, he's like always watching The Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
So it's just like, you know, it's just a fun movie. I just really enjoyed it.
Yeah. The another thing is that the comedic writing was just a lot better in this too than those original movies. Even the first one. It's like everything Shia LaBeouf says is a joke, and it gets old even in the first one.
This was back when Shia LaBeouf, like early on in his career, where he was charming.
He was a likable goof,
and then he turned insane.
Just do it. He grew that rat tail, right? Didn't he grow a rat tail?
Did he grow a rat tail? You know, he grew a beard.
Yeah, he had that like rat tail. Didn't he have a rat tail braid in that Just Do It Insanity?
I don't remember. He may have. I don't know.
And then there was that thing.
I wouldn't put it past him.
Then there was that thing that was just a close-up shot of his face while he was watching his movies, right? In a theater.
Wasn't that
something he did?
Maybe. He had that installation in New York that was just a camera pointing at the wall where people were supposed to stand in front of it and chant, "He will not divide us."
Yeah, he got weird. But anyway, I mean, he was always kind of weird. Oh, he pulled out a tooth when filming Fury, right?
Or he chipped his tooth.
He chipped his tooth purposely.
Purposely chipped his tooth
when filming Fury.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, so the comedy in the first Transformers, or in the original Transformers movies in general, but particularly the Shia LaBeouf ones, it was almost felt jarring. Because it was like too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it depends. Yeah, it depends. There's that one agent who's kind of funny.
Yeah.
He's a weirdo.
You're talking about in the originals?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he also was like a little too much. But the comedy feels much more natural and appropriate to the situation.
Yeah, I think whoever wrote this needs to continue to write them. Yeah. Definitely. They get the Transformers mythos. They get how to write a movie. Let's see here. Like Christina Hodson.
Yeah.
So I don't know what else she's done. Shut In. She's writing a Batgirl.
Yeah, I see that. She actually hasn't done a whole lot.
Oh, and she's writing the Birds of Prey script.
Well, it makes sense that if she's writing the Birds of Prey, she would also do the Batgirl.
Yeah, that right.
And the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. Is that really the subtitle of that movie?
That's kind of funny. So I guess she's wrote a. I'm guessing this Fugitive script is a remake
of The Fugitive.
Yeah, I don't know, but anyway, I think she's pretty good, and she has a future as a screenwriter.
Yeah,
that's for sure. Yeah, nothing, and like even like their family dynamic was didn't seem forced. It felt kind of natural too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's all we can say without going into spoilers.
Oh yeah, there was one thing that bothered me about this movie that I just couldn't get past. Like, there was one thing that I was just
wait for the spoilers. You're talking about a certain piece of weaponry.
It's not real. Is it really a spoiler? I mean, it's right at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, well, just because it happens early on.
I mean, it's not any sort of story spoiler. It's not a plot point or anything.
Well, our argument against why it should even exist is
yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I guess
we'll talk about it first if you're that interested. How about that?
Yeah.
So, spoiler warning.
Yep. All right. So, when it first shows Earth, so the movie starts off showing the war on Cybertron, like we already said. A lot of really cool fight choreography going on. Like, I'm pretty sure Optimus Prime just straight up like executed a Decepticon that was like pretty much already defeated.
Yeah.
Which I think makes him a war criminal. But
no, Optimus Prime is our great father figure.
Right. So anyway, when that's done, the first shot it shows on Earth is John Cena's squad doing a paintball match, presumably some kind of training exercise or something, out in the woods in like Central California in the mountains. And then Bumblebee crashes down, and he's all like, hey, stop firing on these grid coordinates. We need backup. Who did this or whatever? And they're like, oh, there's no live fire exercises in that area. He was like, oh, what the hell? And then Bumblebee pops up, and it's this, 12-foot tall alien robot, which he probably thought was the Russians at the time. Because, again, this takes place in the 80s. And so these Humvees show up. Like, Bumblebee runs off, because he's like, I don't want to fight these indigenous life and hurt them or whatever. Because he's cool like that, and he runs off, and
besides, Optimus Prime tasked him with protecting the planet.
And these Humvees show up as their backup, and on one of them is mounted this weapon that is a harpoon launcher that is is straddled by a pair of M250 caliber machine guns, which makes no sense and is just ridiculous. But this harpoon gun, no reason for it to exist at this point. I mean,
they're not hunting whales with these Humvees.
Right, what the hell could this harpoon be used for? They're gonna harpoon a BTR-60 and drag it off with a Humvee?
The head of this harpoon is 5 inches across.
Yeah.
So it's not even like, oh, if we run into like a mountain lion or something. No, this harpoon would like destroy whatever they shot at. It's huge.
It's one thing if later in the movie, once they've made contact with the Transformers, they start designing weaponry that could potentially be used to apprehend and capture these Transformers. That's one thing. But this is first contact.
And they shoot a harpoon with like a cable attached to it so they can like winch him down. Yeah, it's like a cable with a winch attached to this harpoon.
And it adds nothing to that sequence at the beginning. Like it would have changed nothing in the storyline if they just didn't have those harpoons on there.
But it makes no sense to have the harpoon in the first place there, because what are they going to use it for? What do you mount a harpoon cannon on the top of your Humvee for?
Yeah, assuming you haven't encountered giant robot aliens, because we're assuming they haven't at this point.
Right, because again, this is a reboot in the world where the first movie exists.
Transformers have been on Earth since King Arthur, right?
Well, earlier than that, they had dinosaur Transformers. They've been there since prehistoric times.
Oh, right, yeah.
But then they had Transformers since King Arthur, and then Megatron had been stowed away since he'd been found in the early 1900s and been hidden away in
Hoover
Dam. But in this, the same organization who has their base within the dam still has never seen a Transformer before. Never once encountered an alien life form. Right. They are not an alien. They're not an agency specializing in alien life forms. They're just a black ops organization, deep cover, special forces for the U.S. government. But they've never encountered a Transformer before. They have no clue what this thing is, or any of these other ones that show up. So, I just bumped the microphones, it was all bouncing around. So, like the first movie, like can't have existed within the same canon. They have no reason to have a harpoon launcher.
Yeah,
it makes no sense.
Also, in this canon, the Autobots are the ones who had the uprising and were losing the war to the Decepticons, and things were getting desperate for them, and that's why they scattered and were supposed to go establish a base where all the Autobots would regroup at. Whereas in the original one, they send out scouts throughout the galaxy looking for Megatron, and Bumblebee's the one who's sent to Earth. That's why he's was in World War II and stuff as a Jeep. And Megatron gets activated or something, and Bumblebee picks that up and sends a signal for the Autobots to come.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, the main impetus of the Transformers coming to Earth is completely contradicted by this movie, so it has to be a new canon.
Also, at the end of the movie, Optimus Prime's on Earth. In the first movie, they show Optimus Prime arrive on Earth.
Right. As well as Ironside?
Ironhide?
Ironhide?
Ironside?
I didn't grow up with Transformers. I don't remember all their names. The one that was the Pontiac Solstice as well. I forget his name.
There's an emergency vehicle.
Yeah.
Can't remember their names. Anyway, so that's all different. But I had something I was going to talk about, and I can't remember what it was.
Well, you were talking about the fight choreography and the really
cool... Oh, yeah. So there's this part... So Bumblebee, at the end, Bumblebee is fighting Dropkick. Right, that was his name, right? And he turns into a helicopter. Not Bumblebee, Dropkick does. And Bumblebee takes a chain and throws it up into the rotor. And it wraps around, so he transforms back, and he's all wrapped up in the chain. With the chains going through parts of his body and coming out, and Bumblebee yanks on it and just rips him apart.
Yeah.
And pieces of him go flying everywhere. It was really brutal, but it was so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of all I have really to say about it. This movie's kind of like E.T. if E.T. were a 12-foot tall military robot. So, so
Yeah.
like a lot of the movie, it's kind of like, Bumblebee discovers how to eat Reese's Pieces or whatever.
Yeah. Except instead of discovering Reese's Pieces and Coke or Pepsi, I think was it Pepsi? God. Yeah, because Coke was all over Mac and Me, so I think it was Pepsi and E.T. Anyway, he discovers the Breakfast Club.
Yeah. He even does the like fist in the air at the end of the movie.
Yeah, well, like John Cena salutes him. He's like, "Hey, soldier!" And Bumblebee turns around and John Cena salutes him.
It's all very cheesy.
Yeah, it's so 80s movie. And then like Bumblebee does the fist in the air at the end when Judd Hirsch dies.
Yeah, there's a lot about this.
And then it plays that song.
Yeah, there's a lot about this movie that was like pretty cheesy, but was very much in the vein of the style of movies from the time period.
Right. I think the cheesiness was there to be nostalgic. Anyway, like try to like push this like 80s theme, and everything, and so it worked for the movie, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, so I don't really have anything else to add to this. Do you?
Let me think about it for a second. Probably not.
All right. So this is a busy weekend. I don't know what order things are coming out in, but definitely this weekend is Mary Poppins Returns, Bumblebee, Welcome to Morrowind, and Aquaman. And we plan to have a review for each of these movies. Assuming, it's Christmas weekend, but our family doesn't do anything for Christmas, really. Like
just dinner.
Dinner on Christmas. And so I don't foresee any reason for us to not get through all of these. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But next weekend is Vice, starring Christian Bale, as well as what's that movie called? Stan and Ollie, that Laurel and Hardy biopic with John C. Reilly. That's coming out. We're not reviewing Holmes and Watson because that movie looks awful. And then after that, we hit the slump of January. January is always a slow month for movies. We might see Escape Room. It looks pretty decent, but if we don't, I'm not gonna be.
Yeah. Did I say Judd Hirsch on the Breakfast Club? Judd Nelson.
Judd Nelson, different Judd.
Yeah,
you might have said Judd Hirsch. I wasn't paying attention.
I don't know. Like it just like popped in my head. I'm like, did I? No, Judd Nelson.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, when's the last time you talked about Judd Hirsch, and when's the last time you talked about Judd Nelson?
Just now.
Well, I mean, but
before that, I don't know.
Forever. I guarantee you, it was more recent that you talked about Judd Hirsch. Although this movie, that can best be described as Kevin Hart wants an Oscar, called The Upside. That comes out in the second weekend in January. It's the one with Bryan Cranston in the wheelchair.
Oh yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, its Metascore on IMDb is not great.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe people are upset that a
black man's working for the white man.
Well, I was gonna say that Bryan Cranston is playing someone in a wheelchair rather than hiring someone who is just in a wheelchair.
That'd be silly.
I
could see that happening, but yeah, that'd be silly.
Yeah.
Hey, that kid that was in Mac and Me's probably looking for work. He's actually in a wheelchair.
Yeah. Anyway, there's Replicas with Keanu Reeves, which I don't really know how I feel about the movie, but it's got Keanu in it, so I'm interested by default. And then Glass is also that month, which is the new Shyamalan verse, the Shamaverse, the M. Night Shyamaverse. Should probably see Split before we see that, though.
Yeah.
But then otherwise,
probably rewatch Unbreakable too. I haven't seen that in so long.
Yeah. otherwise, the only other exciting things in January are the fact that A Dog's Way Home and The Kid Who Would Be King are finally coming out, so we can stop seeing those trailers. But then February is the first movie that we're really excited for in 2019 is the Lego Movie 2, the second part.
That looks so good.
It looks amazing. If you haven't seen the Christmas short, go see it while it's still Christmas time.
Yeah.
It's on YouTube. It's cute. And it's
only a couple minutes long.
It's only a couple minutes long. It's cute. It's got all the comedy that you expect from the movie. And yeah. But then Alita Battle Angel comes out, which the more I see trailers for it, the more I want to see the movie. I think each trailer has just done a better job than the previous one.
Yeah, well, we saw a new trailer for Lego Movie 2 today also.
Oh yeah,
it's not that I hadn't seen that trailer. I'd seen other trailers, but I hadn't seen that one in particular.
Yeah, when we went and saw that movie today, so
yeah.
And then How to Train Your Dragon 3 is finally coming out.
That's been pushed back so many times.
Yeah.
I think I was reading the first like cut, not like a final, but like animatic cut of it. Steven Spielberg, because he's producing it, looked at it and he was like, no,
we're not releasing
this movie, and they'd like go back and redo a lot of stuff, and it's been pushed back several years in total, right?
Yeah, it's been. I mean, it's a animated movie, which means it has a pretty long production time. But
yeah, but I think it was originally going to be out in like 2016 or something.
Was it that? God, when did the second one come out?
I don't know.
That's ridiculous. If that's the case.
2014.
Oh yeah, so yeah, it was 2016. Sounds about right. 5 years between animated sequels. Well,
I mean, there was 4 between the first 2 movies, but I think after the second one was successful, like the first one did okay. It did pretty good.
Yeah.
I think the second one was more successful, and so they were trying to like get this third one out pretty quick, and then it just kept getting pushed back because I know it had like I think it had a late 2016 release date, then it had like a summer 2017 release date, then a early 2018 release date.
Yeah.
And so it
but it looks like it's finally actually going to happen this time.
Yeah, and so I'm excited. I really enjoyed those first 2 movies.
Hiccup's got some really sweet ass armor in those trailers, though.
Yeah, it looks like it's dragon skin, though, so I don't know how the other dragons feel about that. I guess if he's only taking it from dragons that die of old age or whatever, but
yeah, I don't know. But yes, that's what we got coming up. If any of that excites you, hit that subscribe button so you can know when our next one goes up. If you haven't yet, go see The Amazing Spider-Man, or not The Amazing, go see Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Which is amazing.
It is amazing. It's a fantastic movie. Probably the best movie in theaters right now. Although we haven't seen Aquaman yet. Which apparently is a lot better than people expected it to be.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
So, kind of excited for that now, which I wasn't before. But, yeah, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is a phenomenal movie. So, go see that.
Yeah. Definitely.
But yeah. Until next time.
Bye.
Thanks for listening.
You got the power.